Hi, I'm Angel at the Fairwood Branch, and today I'm going to show you how to make yarn bracelets. This is a grab and go craft that is available at the Fairwood Branch, and supplies are limited, so please come pick yours up today. In your grab and go bag, you should have one very long piece of yarn, 3 shorter pieces of yarn, 3 straws already taped together, and a wooden dowel. And for today's craft, you will also need a pair of scissors. The first thing that we're gonna do is at the bottom here with our little tape, we're gonna unravel just a little small square of tape and then cut it with a pair of scissors. The first portion that we're doing is we're gonna thread these 3 straws with the 3 pieces of yarn, and we're gonna use the wooden dowel to do it. So take one short piece of yarn and tape it to the end of a wooden dowel. And when you tape it, make sure that the yarn's not sticking out in front of the stick because this will make it easier to thread through the straws. Also, don't use too big of a piece of tape. It will make it hard to push through the straws. So once you've taped your yarn to the wooden dowel, we're gonna thread it through the straw, starting with the end at the bottom here. We want the yarn to stay on the straw, so once you push through and you see the front of your wooden dowel, just take a piece of the yarn and hold on to it so that you don't actually pull it through, and then pull it through the other end. Once your dowel has made it safely on the other side and you still have this piece in your hand, you can untape the dowel from the yarn. So once you get to this point, we will take a second piece of yarn and also tape it to the dowel. And you can use the same piece of tape, or if too much yarn got stuck to that tape, there's enough tape on your straw to be able to do this part 3 separate times. So just tape it back to the front of your dowel again. And push it through, and we'll repeat this part also for the 3rd straw. All right, so at this point, you should have the 3 straws with the 3 pieces of yarn on each side, and kind of pull each piece of yarn so that you have about half on this side and half on this side, and that all the 3 pieces of yarn are pretty evenly pulled so that all the ends are in about the same place. Next, take the end of your yarn, the side that has the tape on it, and we're gonna tie a little knot on this side using our fingers. Once we tie the knot, we wanna have about a couple inches of yarn on this right-hand side. We'll need it a little bit later. And so just take your finger and wrap the yarn around it and just tie a little knot like this. And then once your knot is tied, you can take your straws here, push it all the way to the end over there so that the knot is pushed up to the ends of the straw over here. All right, at this point, we will need our very long piece of yarn here, and take the edge of the yarn, and on this first straw that you have up here, you can tie it and just to a small little double knot around this first straw to keep it secure while you weave your bracelet, and it's going to hold it in place once you're done weaving your bracelet. I've added some more tape to the bottom of your straws. And if you would like to tape it to the table for a little bit of stability, you can unravel a little of the tape and use it to keep the straws down. I find that it's actually a little bit easier for me if I pick it up, but if you do want to do that, you can. The only thing is make sure you don't unravel so much tape that your straws come loose. We need the straws to stay together. So you can take some up and just stick it to the table like that while you work. But still take this first long piece of yarn and tie it around the first straw into a little knot to keep your straw secure while you work. Okay, just like that. All right, so this is the part where we will start weaving our bracelet, and we want to take extra care to make sure that the long piece of yarn, sorry, doesn't get tied up around these pieces of yarn. It's pretty easy to keep it tangled. So just keep pulling them straight as you work so that things don't get tangled. But if you take your very long piece of yarn here, for the second straw, we're gonna go over the top of the second straw right there, and then we're gonna go under this third straw. And then once you do that, we're gonna wrap it around, and then we're gonna go under the second straw and over the first one. And we're gonna continue this pattern over and over again to weave the top of your bracelet. So one more time, we're gonna go under here, and then over there, the second one, and wrap the yarn around this bottom straw. And then I'm gonna go through in between the second and the third straw again, go underneath the second straw and wrap it around. When I'm weaving this bracelet, what I tell myself as I'm going is over, under, and wrap around, over, under, wrap around. And so if you kind of sing that in your head, then it helps you keep where you're supposed to go. So I'm back where I started the first time. Over the second straw, under the third one, wrap around. Under the second straw, over the first one, wrap around. And we're gonna continue until we have a nice long woven stretch of bracelet. And it's up to you to determine how long you would like for your bracelet to be. So as you work, just kind of hold it up to your wrist. The woven portion will make up the top of your bracelet, so you can just kind of measure it according to your wrist for how big or small you want it to be. And as you work, make sure you occasionally push the yarn up to the top and give the long piece a little tug, because we want all of this to be pretty secure so that it doesn't fall apart while we're doing our next portion. Once you've completed as much of the bracelet that you would like, we're gonna cut our long piece of thread, and make sure you leave at least a little bit of space so that you can tie another knot with this end. So once you cut your long piece of thread, we're gonna take the straw that we're on, try to finish on the first straw if you can, but if you don't, that's okay. And make a little knot. But instead of making a double knot, just make a little single knot, because we're just holding it in place right now, and we'll make a double knot a little later. All right, once we've made our single knot to hold this in place, we can then remove our tape at the end of the straws here. All right, and once we've removed our tape at the end here, we want to make sure that this knot is still pushed all the way up to the top of the straw so that they get really close. And at this point, we want to pull the woven section off of the ends of the straw in the direction of the knot. This part gets a little tricky, it's a little difficult because you can't push the entire bracelet off very easily at once. So we're gonna have to take little sections and just kind of work them towards the end here. And it helps to pull the straws in the opposite direction while you work on getting these off. And as you get the straws off, you can just go on ahead and pull them off of your shorter strands of yarn here. Okay, so once you get your straws off, you'll have this little woven section of bracelet on the end here. And then we can take our single knot at the end here, and now we can make it a double knot. All right, at this point, if you wanted to cut the excess here at the end of the yarn used for the woven section, this is a good place to do that. Or if they are long enough and you would like to include them in the bracelet because they're a little pretty, then we can do that as well. I choose to cut mine off just so it doesn't get tangled up. I get tangled very easily. All right. So once you're at this point, you can take this end with the 3 pieces of thread that are not in a knot yet, and you can just turn it into a double knot at the end down here. Just use your finger and wrap it around and tie it on there real tight so that your woven section doesn't move and stays where it is. All right, and then once you've got your knot, the last step is to just wrap your long pieces of yarn here and make your bracelet. Now this bracelet has to slip on and off your wrist, so you want it loose enough so that you can do that. The yarn has a little bit of give, but not a whole lot. So just make it loose enough so that you can slip it on and off, but not so loose that it falls off your arm once it's on. And you can just kind of measure it by wrapping it around your wrist and getting a feel for how long you need it to be, and just kind of keeping that spot in your mind when you tie your bracelet. So just gonna tie our section here and make a little double knot. Just like that. And with our scissors, any excess yarn that we have, we're gonna cut that off. I like to keep just a little bit of the thread on so that it's lacy at the end, but you don't have to do that. But if you do cut it closer up here at the knot, just don't cut it so close that the knot can unravel on its own. Leave at least a little bit of yarn on there so it can hold on a little tighter. And then once you've done that, you will have your very own woven yarn bracelet. I hope that you enjoyed today's craft and come visit us again soon. Bye.